Hi, I'm Maria Theoharis of Velosos on social media. Welcome back to Say Over 50 podcast on Soul Organised Style. Grab a cuppa, support this podcast on Patreon, and relax with us. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and like this video. Mirjam Gielen is today's podcast guest for Say Over 50. On this episode, Mirjam shows us many of her creations so that if you haven't already seen the video versions of Soul Organised Style podcast on YouTube, either watch this episode on YouTube or open the Soul Organised Style podcast website to see each piece that Mirjam shows us in this podcast. Let's watch and listen to Mirjam now.
This is better. Hello. Good evening for you.
Oh, good morning for you too. Mirjam, thank you for your time to come on the podcast. You've been extremely busy and meeting lots of people, doing lots of things. So for people who haven't heard about you, can you give us a background of what it is that you provide people and where it's coming from for you?
I have been on Instagram, for instance, for a long time. And there people started to ask me, how do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
So I showed them things I had made and they would, and I was happy to respond, but well, just a little caption on Instagram doesn't really do justice to that. So I began to write about things I did. Then I started a Patreon page, and Patreon is a platform where creators can show their work and share with members.
Yep.
And there's the possibility to follow someone there for free.
Yep. Yes,
just
there
like
is.
you would follow someone on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
And also the possibility to become a paid member. If you from one of my paid members that's rather cheap, it's $1 a month plus taxes. So that's
right.
And that was because of by then the pandemic started. Mm-hmm. And I was writing tutorials and already doing small videos and that kind of things on Patreon. And well, that was a very difficult time for all of us. Yes. I knew myself several people who also had a very difficult time financially. And I wanted to keep it affordable so that people could still find the relaxation and the calming effect of being able to stitch in these difficult times. And it also really took off. People really needed this kind of distraction, keeping them busy, having a bit of an outlet, and also sharing. For me, that's very important. Suppose I wouldn't be able to share with people, not teaching or not sharing on social media. I think my enthusiasm would dwindle a bit. I think that I'm stimulated by sharing with people and mutual inspiration. And I also look myself for inspiration on social media, seeing what others are up to, hearing them talk about it. So yeah, sharing I discovered was a really big part. And besides sharing on Patreon, I also have some tutorials, etc., for sale in my Etsy shop. But I'm also, over the years, I started doing Zoom classes. Luckily now we can do live courses again too. Yeah. And that I do at Westdean College in the UK. And that's a brilliant place. That you imagine a kind of Downton Abbey kind of house.
Yes, when you told me, I just thought that's fantastic.
And with a big park around it. And if you step outside, you see rolling hills with sheep. It's a lovely place. There are botanical gardens too. It's a school for all kinds of arts and crafts. Can be anything from silversmithing to photography, painting, tapestry, you name it. Mm-hmm. And they asked me to teach there, and I've been there now a couple of times and will return there in July and also next year. That's also lovely to have a real live class and having the time to really connect with people during the day. But I must say, I do love the online contacts too. And I mean, it's magical that we, on the other side of the world, can now talk to each other and connect. Yeah, that's I keep being amazed about that.
Yep.
I've been teaching for stitch guilds in the US, for instance. Big time difference,
Mm.
uh, but so lovely to work with people and meet them and see what they're doing and talk to each other and yeah, meet like-minded people. It's definitely a plus side of my work. Yes.
So now that we've talked about your work, do you want to show some of your work? Because this is video, and for the audio listeners, I'll have it on the blog post.
We talked about the pandemic,
Yep.
and this, for instance, is
Yep.
something that I made during the pandemic.
Yep.
And it's on um, linen that I put in the indigo fat. So the
Yep.
blue that you see is indigo.
Yep.
And then I put little organisms on it, and they represent um, cells from the immune system. So they were actually the
Ah.
cells that kept us safe during that
Yep.
time, or that would help to to lessen the effects of COVID. So I felt that it's a positive thing to stitch those cells, imaginary, of course. I made my own interpretation of
Hmm.
these cells, and I felt that it was also really helpful to do a positive thing
Yeah.
and express something. I thought, well, yes, we're in danger of this virus, but we also have an immune system that is working for us, hopefully, and supporting us. And I wanted to express that.
Can you show that
And
piece again, but so that we can see how 3D it is? Because it's not a flat piece, is it? Turn it to its
no,
side.
yeah,
That's it. That's the view I wanted. Yep.
yeah.
Beautiful.
So that is, and I did a lot of um, hoop embroidery.
Wow.
This one also an imaginary organism.
Okay. And is that
Uh,
so the stitching is it looks like it's the same type of stitching on the outside.
yes,
So the perimeter.
yeah, and with a
Beautiful,
bit of velvet applique in the middle.
right?
And
Beautiful.
I've been uh, dyeing with plants. Um, Most of what you see, what I've made, is dyed or eco-printed.
Hmm.
And for this one, for instance,
Yep. That's it.
in the middle you see eco print on paper. It's a leaf that's printed on paper. Then I
Yep.
cut it out and did some crochet and stitching around it. And also the background is naturally dyed. And that is because I like to take my inspiration from nature,
Yep.
colors, the shapes, the lines, and I love it that eco printing gives a starting point to work with colors, shapes that you can start to work with. And I do sometimes use reclaimed fabrics or reclaimed threads, but
Hmm.
I try. I'm, I mean, I'm not some kind of environmental saint or something, but on the whole, I try to be as sustainable as possible. And plus, I also enjoy the beauty of natural colors very,
Mm.
very much. So that's a happy coincidence, you could say. And I have uh, slowly I've been working towards more three-dimensional work. You already saw that a bit with that virus where I did some
Yes.
fabric manipulation. Somehow I had this conviction in my head that um, I wasn't able to do three-dimensional work. It's
Mm.
so difficult because then you have to think about depth and measurements. And I said, no, that's too difficult. And then at a certain point, I realized that I had done quite a few three-dimensional things in my time, like sewing clothes. Well,
Yes.
that's three-dimensional. So what was I saying to myself? Oh, I have no experience in three-dimensional. Yes, I did, and I've knitted sweaters and I've made soft toys for my children. Uh, yeah, this no, I can. Why not? Why not just
Yeah.
try and do something? And I started really, really, really simple with
That's it.
very small felt balls, and that was actually um, there was I had bought some of these very small felt balls.
Mm-hmm. Quite colourful.
Yeah,
Oh, stitched and with embellishment.
yeah, just stitched on them, and that's very comfortable. And it happened that one evening there was a storm,
Yeah.
and oh, it was horrible, and I couldn't sleep. I was so afraid that the whole roof would be blown off, and the sounds were horrid. And I needed something to do. I just couldn't just sit there and just listen to the storm and get more and more uh, anxious. So I got these balls and just started to stitch and did. I think I did 5 or 6 that evening,
Yeah.
and just very simple, some lines. Just and it's different from working two-dimensionally because you have to think, okay, I have to go around it, and do I want it to spiral? Do I want there's a different kind of thinking on how you want to stitch on a three-dimensional object. But I immediately liked it. It really helped to calm me down
Mm.
also. So that's and I thought, oh, I want more of that. And I had done some felting in the past,
Yeah.
so I thought I can make my own felt balls, and then you can make them as small or as big as you like. And then I made, for instance, this one,
Ah, yes. That's a
somewhat
larger one.
bigger.
Yeah.
And in this one, I also felted like bits and bobs, a small piece of ribbon, a bit of yarn, and small pieces of silk, and then stitched on it. This is a bit of a sea coral theme,
Yep.
but also very different one. This is just a brown felt ball, and that I couched gold threads on.
Wow.
Little scribbles, like you sometimes see insects making these little scribbles
Mm-hmm.
in the bark of a tree. I find it interesting to kind of replicate such a pattern.
Mm.
And when you can look at a picture and say, "Oh, that's beautiful," these little, or see it in real life, and oh wow, the little scribbles by the insect. But if you do it, if you stitch it, and you can really feel in your hands how the lines move,
Mm.
and that gives much better understanding of how this works. And that I find so nice about stitching. It's really hands-on, and you get really the experience. You experience things also in your hands, and for me that gives a better and deeper understanding of things and a deeper connection. So nature is my inspiration, and when I
Yep.
stitch things from nature, I also get a deeper connection to nature, and then so it's really a kind of dialogue between myself and nature. So after doing a few of these, I thought maybe do it a little bit bigger. And I started to make, although this, for instance, is still a very small ball that I stitched on, but I already gave it, yeah, well, you can call it petals. So that was already more of an object,
Yeah.
so to speak. And I started doing more of those and making them also in fabric and then stitch on them. For instance, this one,
That one's a pear?
a pear,
Yep.
but an imaginary one. I mean, I wasn't trying to replicate any real pears,
Right.
just trying out the shape. It happened to be a pear shape, so I gave it a little leaf and then some fancy stitching on it.
Yep.
And this one is actually very simple ball shape, but with pointy uh, side on the top. The purple is all stitched. It's stacked running stitch.
And
And
how long did it take you to stitch that? Because that's really intricate and beautiful.
I can't say how exactly how many hours, but it took me a couple of weeks to finish in between all the things. But yeah, this was a lot of work. And I chose the color purple because it reminded me a bit of a fig.
Ah,
So
yes.
a bit fruit themed here. And another one that I did was this one.
With cross
And that
stitch.
was made with an old tablecloth that my mother had embroidered. So
Yep.
actually, in this case, the embroidery is hers. And
Wow.
it had deteriorated quite a bit, you know, these old tablecloth. And um, well, we spilled all kind of things on it, and it has been washed 1,000 times. Um, and after she passed away, I couldn't get myself to throw these away because there's so many memories connected also to these items and all the work that she had put in. And
Yeah.
so I'm glad that I can still use at least parts of these things she made, a tablecloth, etc., and turn them into objects. And this one got a leaf made of needle lace.
Needle lace. And that's needle lace that you created?
Yes.
And
Uh,
would that be wire?
I, yeah, that's wire, so I
Yeah.
can shape it as much as I want. So the wire is one of the
Mm,
things that helped me to get a bit of a three-dimensional shape. And I was also fascinated by how you can stitch um, fabric together and get a certain shape. And that can be quite surprising because when you stuff it, it kind of enlarges and you
mm,
get sometimes really, for instance, with this one, I was convinced that the top would be much more pointy.
yeah.
Till this is more indeed like a fig or an onion with just a little
Yeah.
protrusion at the top. Well, I thought that would be a lot bigger. So it's really surprising. And also, uh, if you uh, if you are sewing clothes, for instance, you have to, will you put your pattern on the grain or on the bias? And
Yes.
that also, I find out it makes a lot of difference for the shape that you get, because when you do it on the bias, you get a lot more stretch. So the
Yes.
object will expand much more to all sides. So that was quite an adventure to start experimenting with shapes and see where they got me. And I went a little bit bigger yet. And that is, for instance, this one. Oh, it has little, it has wire on it so that I
That
can
is
hang
much
it.
bigger. Yeah. And
And the
do you hang
this is,
that somewhere?
yeah, I
Yeah.
have it in my living room at this moment. And the panels are eco-printed linen,
Right.
and the front is all stitched. And then I wanted to give it some the idea of movement
Mm-hmm.
by giving it these silk, yeah, tentacles, so to speak. And this is well, the bit of a posh word is biomorphic art, and
Okay.
that is biomorphic means it evokes the image of living things without necessarily depicting a certain living thing. Because what is this? It could be something
Mm,
swimming in the ocean, perhaps. something that you see under a microscope. Well, a lot of my nature inspiration also comes from images on the internet or documentaries. And then you see that, for instance, under the sea, there are so many weird creatures in any color, any shape, any texture that you can imagine. So surprising sometimes. I mean, the creativity of nature, that's that's on a whole other level. And perhaps there are things that we even haven't discovered yet. So even more strange or more beautiful or more colorful or whatever. So I'm constantly inspired if I, wow, what's this and what's that for beautiful texture or and it's also a bit humbling. We are just one of those creatures on Earth, on this wide variety, yeah, of creatures that we are somehow connected to. We're all living creatures on this Earth, and so this is also kind of showing my respect for that biodiversity
Okay.
by making imaginary organisms.
Yep.
I'll show some more.
So at the moment, you're holding a sort of crimson 3D structure that you thought about. Do you plan it? Do you? Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I'll have to
just
show. I have to
follow.
make sure that this part of the video is available for the people who are listening to it because it's got different views as you turn it around. Do you work
Yeah,
from paper and then come up with it, or is it just straight from
yeah.
your mind?
Now I've been drawing this on paper, and
Hmm.
sometimes I make a model in just some plain fabric,
Right.
just to try it out, see what it works. And in this case, I did want to make it hollow, but how do you do that? And I had the luck of finding the I had some empty cones, and they happened to have the right diameter, and so there is eco-printed silk on the inside, and the outside are um, 6 segments. At this moment, I'm still working from 6 segments and
Right.
see how you can, like a simple ball segment, but then altered in some way. And in this case, I stitched on the segments beforehand with a satin stitch. And everything that you see is naturally dyed. This crimson color comes from cochineal. Most of that color here, what you see here, comes from cochineal, and sometimes it's very light pink, nearly white.
Mm-hmm.
And when you add things like iron, you can get darker colors. So yeah, and also this can be hung, and then this is floats somewhere in my living room. I have a kind of rail where I can hang it from. And the last one that I finished, I'm working on another one.
Right.
Uh, it's this one.
So again, you've got panels and you've got
Yeah,
a leaf type of work at the top,
yeah,
and it's
with
very
the
3D.
wire. And
Yep.
these were inspired by some kind of sea slug. This has this very ephemeral protrusions.
Hmm.
And because I see an image and think, oh, I can use that. And what is it? You tell me.
Yeah.
It's not really supposed to depict a real a real object or a real thing. It's just a type of thing that you could find somewhere in nature looking through a microscope or diving or uh, floating in the air or whatever. And again, eco-printed and eco-dyed fabric and threads. And yeah, this is a real journey of discovery. these three-dimensional objects. And yes, it poses problems working three-dimensionally, but it's also a lovely challenge and an adventurous road to take. So I hope to do more of that in the future.
So, from what I can see and from what you've described, you see something, you try it, you come up with different ways of coming up with a structure, and you don't have a deadline, so you can do it in a way that is calming for you, keeps your motivation going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I must say that nearly all of the things that I do now take a lot of time
Yeah.
with usually relatively small stitches, time-consuming kind of things like all those satin spots. But indeed, as you say, I have no deadline, and it's more important for me that and in that way it also grows organically.
Mm, it
And
does.
so my plan changes halfway because I feel that the fabric or the stitches have something else to tell, and that my original plan should be adapted to that. So it's a process, and it's okay if it takes a lot of time.
So, if people want to contact you to start doing small pieces or large pieces, what should they do? How should they get in contact with you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, for instance, as Mirjam Textiles,
Yep.
and also on Facebook. And the same name, Mirjam Textiles, I use on Patreon, but I think Instagram can be a good starting point to get to know me and to hear what I'm up to, and then be directed to, for instance, my Patreon page.
Yeah, a direct message. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. And the next course that you're doing at the UK, when is that? Was it June or July?
July, yes. And I've heard there are still places available, so
Good.
no,
That's good.
that's yeah. I'm very glad I'm going back there. But I'm also now looking forward to the Making Zen.
Hmm.
And I also have an online workshop for the Stitch Club from textileartist.org coming up. So
Okay.
the month of May will be completely dedicated to online workshops, connecting with people, what they do with the workshops. They can ask me questions. I also love to see what people make. So I can scroll to the members area or Facebook group for a long time. Oh, wow. Oh, look at that. Uh, yeah, I love that. How these events can create this burst of creativity.
The creativity from your students also encourages you as well. So that's
Yes,
really great to
definitely.
hear. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hear so many people say, yeah, but what I do is nothing special, and I'm not very experienced, and this I'm just dabble. I think don't sell yourself short. It's the act of creating and making, um, even if it's on a very modest scale, it's always valuable. And it's valuable for yourself. It's valuable to create a connection with other people and to share about it. And I would not exactly know any other craft where people are so happy to share ideas and patterns and show and talk to each other. And it's such a lovely community. And whatever you do, you can be part of that.
Miriam, thank you so much for your encouraging words for people who are thinking about taking up the textile art side that you're showing us. And I'm really pleased that we could have this chat. So thank you for being on the podcast for Sober 50.
You're very welcome. It was a joy.
Same here. Thank you. This episode of So Over 50 podcast on Soul Organized Style was video and audio produced by me, Maria Thea Harris, in my sewing room with permission of Miriam, and sound by Kanief on YouTube. Many thanks for the ongoing support for the podcast Patreon contributors. Their ongoing support enables me to develop this podcast in video and audio for you for free. go to Patreon and find the So Organised Style Patreon page and join us. Make sure you direct message Sandy and editors at Sover50 on Instagram to contribute to the ongoing posts and challenges the team posts to the community of over 53,000 followers. You can subscribe to So Organised Style Podcast, spelled with an S, not a Z, on all good podcast apps. Make sure you go back and listen to our free Sover50 podcast archive on So Organised Style Podcast. I look forward to joining you in your sewing room next time. Stay safe, everyone.